Alrighty, we're back again with the zZounds Live Gear Expo, and today we are hanging out with Jake from Victory Amps, all the way across the pond in the UK.
Hey, how's it going? Ireland, not the
Or
UK.
Ireland. Okay, my bad,
Yeah,
buddy.
yeah, yeah. How
Well,
you doing?
awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you, joining us here, later in your time zone, and yeah, it's just a pleasure to have you, and stoked to take a look at the V4, the Copper. So,
Yeah, good to be
and
here, man. Thanks for having me.
yeah, dude. Yeah, no worries. So, yeah, let's kind of dive right into the V4 Copper. So, for people that aren't familiar, it is a preamp pedal taken from kind of the same. Is it like this, like the same schematics or the same idea from like the amp version of it? Just kind of boiled down into like a smaller pedal box.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. So like I've got the amp head version, and I've used that a lot more than this because I only got this recently. But yeah, I suppose this is sort of designed to give you the option of getting the sound of the copper amp, which is like it's kind of like an AC30 thing. It's got
Mm-hmm.
that chimey sort of voxy thing going on. Um, it's got a lot of other characteristics as well, but that would be sort of the main ballpark it's in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so this pedal just it allows you to sort of get that flavor, but with um a different kind of amp. Like you can get it with like a Fender style amp or whatever. You could. I was considering hooking it up to the Victory Copper amp to
Mm-hmm.
demonstrate it, but thought that would be absolutely pointless because then you just have
The same sound.
too much, too much, too much copper going on.
Dude, too much copper.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think that's the purpose of it. So it can be used in like two different ways. You can either go through it like a standard pedal, put your guitar into the input and then have the output go into the front of your amp,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is kind of a cool way of doing it because then you'll have like you get your general amp sound, whatever that may be, and then you can kick on this pedal and get the copper type thing. And there's also
Yep.
like a top boost function. Um, so yeah, you can kind of end up sort of like giving yourself like a 2 or 3 channel amp that way,
Yeah.
um, which is really interesting. The way I have it set up today is I've got it running in the effects loop of this Mesa Boogie Lone Star over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember exactly how I routed it, but I've gone into basically just gone into the power amp. So the copper is replacing the preamp in the Mesa Boogie. Um, and so yeah, so I suppose it's functioning more like
Yeah.
the actual copperhead would. Yeah, and it's really cool. It sounds great.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say you can kind of. It's perfect for for anyone doing fly dates or just going to gigs in general where maybe you're doing a back line, you can't get the exact amp you want, and you can just as long as it has an effects loop, you can just plug this in and bam, you have the Victory Copper.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect if you're like, yeah, like don't get me wrong, like Fender DeVilles are great. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you'll always find one of them on like a backline gig somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I find that half the time like they're broken or something. There's something dodgy happening with them, and something like
Yeah.
this would be perfect because you can instantly kind of get, like quite a kind of boutique sound. I was actually saying to Ashland from Victory before that this amp out of all the Copper series out of all this is the most to me that sounds like they've stepped into this much sort of fancier boutique kind of world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the
I,
sounds coming out from boutique amps right now are, I mean, you obviously have, your big amp companies, your Marshalls and your Oranges and your Fenders, and
yeah,
when I hear a Victory amp, I've heard those amps for years and years, and I hear, we had I think we had three different amps here in Chicago that we did some demos with, and I remember listening to them, just being like, that sounds incredible. Like, it's
yeah,
just a great mix of, I think of a lot of different types of amps, whether it be American or British or high gain or clean or, things like that. There's a lot of versatility. But let's go ahead and, if you don't mind, playing like a little sample of this bad boy here.
Yeah, so like I've got it. It's set kind of clean at the moment. You can see the gain
Mhm.
up here is like it looks like it's turned up, but it's still quite clean. It's a bit breaky uppy. So like you're sort of really hearing the Strat kind of bite being sort of like it's accentuated by the little chimey characteristics. I have the treble
Mhm.
actually turned on fairly far here because I'm a I'm scared of high end, and on every amp I just like turn it off. But if you're to turn it up, you'll get more of a. So yeah, you can get a lot more bitey like that.
Yeah.
If I was to like whack up the gain all the way, I don't hope not clipping any mics here. Um, but if I whack up the gain here, turn it back down. This is sort of as gainy as it gets on this channel. Uh, so lovely, lovely kind of breakup kind of thing. But yeah, but touch sensitive. You can play soft and it sounds clean. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little.
That sounds great. Kind of like it gives you that like that sweet spot sound, when if you're using like I don't know, like a basement or a deluxe or something like that, and you're kind of hitting that breakup point.
Yeah, which is like becoming harder and harder to be allowed to do that in certain scenarios. Like it's like there's so many situations where you just can't turn up an amp where
Yep.
you like and they sound better loud, like it's well known
Yep.
fact.
Uh huh.
So yeah, in a scenario, yeah, this is perfect for that kind of thing. Without blowing the roof off the place.
Totally. And
So so
we're gonna talk about it again on here, but it's like with the day and age and COVID, and a lot of the equipment I think that people are really starting to look at is stuff like this. It's like, how can I get my main rig, into my apartment and not get evicted?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's like for instance, like here I play a 50 watt, tube, MiG 50, and it's so loud. Like I literally can't even turn it above like 1.5 without feeling guilty.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
something like this is awesome for at home. You can use this. You can plug it into an amp. You can even go ampless with it, right? Like say, um, like if you're playing a gig and can you go like into the PA and use this as a preamp for like a PA and just go like right to front of house?
Yeah, you can. I think it's always like it's better used with a power amp
Mm-hmm.
after it or some sort of cab emulation or speaker simulation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can definitely do that. And I have like experimented with just going straight into a laptop
Oh
and
yeah,
um and getting some clean tones. You definitely do need to do a bit of cab simulation just to make it feel like a real thing.
totally.
But at the moment, like I've got it into an amp and the amp's turned up loud enough, So
Yeah.
uh, I kind of it's in its element,
Yeah, definitely. And I think for anyone too that's that's looking to have something like this on their desk, for recording or anything like that, is probably using some kind of cab simulation or
Yeah.
some kind of plug-in that's going to enhance the sound of this. But the fact that you can have a V4 copper on sitting on your desk, I mean, that's incredible. Um, I think
Yeah.
these smaller packages are going to be really helpful for people that don't want to lug around their amp or their cab or whatever it is. So
Yeah, for sure. Like I think you could probably get a cool portable setup if you had like that and one of those little electro harmonics power amps, the little Magnum 44s.
yeah, so you could
Like
essentially just put this on your board with something like
yeah,
that, and then the rest of your pedals, and then you're good to go. You don't have to carry a 2x12 you know 28-pound amp upstairs or anything like that.
yeah,
but
yeah.
but hopefully we get back to those days, where I'll probably be asking everyone if I can carry their amps upstairs once we're able to.
I know, yeah, yeah. I actually like don't miss or that. No, sorry, I thought I wouldn't miss carrying gear, but I really do. I'll give anything to lug a few amps into a venue these days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Well, hopefully we
it's
get
been a
back to that
while.
soon. Speaking on that, though, I mean, you're a professional guitar player, gigging musician, studio musician. How, or I guess, what have you been involved in? I guess in the last, let's say, 5 years.
The last, yeah, like the last kind of 4 or 5 years, I've been playing guitar for Niall Horan, is an Irish pop singer, um, and that's when I started using Victory. It was with him a few years ago, but
Hmm.
so I've done like a load of touring with him around the States and around Europe and the UK, um, and yeah, that's kind of been the main thing I've been doing for the last few years with different sort of little studio bits and maybe like the other little tour with different people along the way. But it's been like the bulk of it had been with him, and
Hmm.
then last year obviously was like completely wiped out for most musicians.
Yeah.
So last year I just sort of played guitar in my room
There you
again,
go. What else can you do?
Yeah, 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 pretty much, yeah. Which I didn't mind at the start. It was nice, I can do a bit of practice. But I got to a point where I actually felt like I was getting worse. I don't know. If I was just practicing the wrong stuff or something, but
Yeah.
the practice just got old or something after a while. But now I'm kind of getting back into working on
Yeah.
stuff.
It's,
Um,
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you can do so much at home, and I love the technology that's out there, and things like this the V4 copper, preamp pedal that allows you to have a rig at home, that's not necessarily your big amp, but at the same time too, there is that missing element of being in like a rehearsal room with a band or on stage or just jamming with somebody. So hopefully once those days come back, we'll be doing a lot of that. So
yeah, yeah. You really do miss the noise, I was pretty lucky. It like in November, we did a live stream at the Royal Albert Hall with Niall, and that's where I started using the Copperhead. So we did this live stream. We sold about 130,000 tickets or something like that,
wow.
um, and it was an amazing gig. We like rehearsed for about a week for it, and I was using. So previously, I'd been using two Victory V40s in
Hmm.
stereo, um, and then I was chatting to Ashlyn, and she asked if I wanted to try the cop. So she gave me the copper to try out, and I put that in stereo with one of the V40s, and it was definitely like probably my favorite. Definitely on that on Nile's stuff. Anyways, my favorite sound that I've had. Because the cop was great by itself, but it having two different amps like in each ear was just like a game changer. Because before I just used the same amp
Uh
left and
huh.
right, but having the contrast, um, like with the copper being more chimey, brighter, a bit more maybe aggressive sounding, and then the V40, which is a bit smoother and a bit darker, a bit more I don't know, a bit more American, but
Yeah.
but the yeah the I was really impressed, so
Yeah, I think that's cool to run stereo, to have two different kind of sounds kind of blending in. Because I can imagine if you're running the same amp stereo. Well, first of all, I heard that once you go stereo, you don't go back. So so for anyone running stereo out there with two of the same amps, you know, let let us know if you've done it with another amp on one side and kind of blended those tones in together. So would you think when you go back to doing live stuff, you'll kind of keep that same setup?
It's a bit of a pain in the ass to carry around two amps all the time. It's nice. It's nice when you have a tech doing it for you, but
Yeah.
like every gig isn't like that. So no, like I've gone back to I was actually quite lucky. Like I had a really busy December in Ireland, doing like a bunch of other live stream stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I went back to the mono setup just because it was
Yeah.
it's just handier to carry around. But you do miss it, you do miss the stereo thing,
Mm-hmm.
especially with I find it's great with delays, obviously, and reverbs, but I really loved it with modulations, like with big choruses and big phasers, and that's where it really appealed to me.
Yeah.
All the swirly stuff just like roaming around your head, it's just amazing. Because we're on in ears most of the time. Like a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
I've been doing was in ears, so it felt like there was just this circulation of swirly shit.
Dude, that's the thing. Like my favorite sound, and people kind of look at me and they're like, "That's your favorite sound?" I'm like, "Yeah." Is like a really whooshy flanger. Like I just with like a fuzz pedal, underneath it,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it just that whoosh, going in and out. Just for me, it's sonically just I don't know. I haven't really
Yeah.
applied it to much, but
Yeah, yeah.
I play chord
What's
progressions over and over in my apartment, so and it sounds
yeah?
awesome.
What's that old flanger? The ADA flanger from the 80s. It sounds like an airplane taking off.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Yeah, right now I'm using like an old MXR flanger. It's like one of the plastic ones that they made, I think back in
nice, cool.
I don't know if it was the 80s, maybe the 90s. But
Yeah,
I mean the thing weighs like literally nothing and I'm like, wow, a plastic pedal, I'm probably just going to destroy this thing. But it's held up and it's my favorite sounding flanger that I've heard in a while. Super
yeah.
simple. But yeah, so going back kind of to the copper here, so this is an amp, I guess, where you can kind of plug in and find a tone pretty easily. Did you find yourself kind of messing with the knobs and the settings for a while, or did you kind of find yourself on a tone that you liked, pretty quickly?
Yeah, no, I found something I like pretty quickly because it's similar to the amp, it's similar to the amp version, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
figured out I pretty much had the amp set like this,
Mm-hmm.
because just the nature of it is it's a bright sounding thing anyway.
Yeah.
I was always rolling back a bit of treble, and I just like I said I do that anyway. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was pretty much like a plug in and play. There was a bit of figuring it out between the master volume, because the gain does, although it does add a bit of grit, it adds quite a bit of volume as well. So finding sort of a sweet spot between them took a minute, but yeah, I think it's very difficult to it's hard to not find a sound in any kind of simple like that, that's just got
Yeah.
a simple EQ. And the one thing that I was sort of playing around with is this bass mode control.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of normal. Yeah, there's a bass cut there in number 2 versus where it's back in 1 and the bass is in. I don't know if the SM57 is going to capture that as much.
Yeah, I think it did a little bit. You get kind of a little bit, if you want a little bit chimier, a little bit in front of the mix more, you can kind of cut that bass out with that.
Yeah, and you're right. About it's the type of thing where in your room you'll probably gravitate towards the switch that has all the bass in, but
Mm-hmm.
when there's a band playing and there's a lot of low end happening on stage, I imagine number 2 might be the bass cut might be a nicer option. Number 3 doesn't affect this channel. That's just full bass again. So basically, there's a second channel on the amp, and that's like a top or a treble boost thing. Uh, bit grittier.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose that's like your kind of dirty channel, um, for like solos or rhythm stuff or whatever. And then the bass mode. So yeah, number 3 has full bass on that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
2 takes away the bass, and then 1. Yeah, I think 1 takes away the bass as well for that sound. I'm still figuring out that little that control.
Yeah, I mean that's, I was talking to you had mentioned you checked out the Earthquaker stream, and something I was talking to Corey about. It's like one of the best things about pedals is just sitting down with it and experimenting and putting knobs in different places and kind of finding your tone. So yeah, man, I think as far as like the preamp pedal version of the Copper, I mean, to me, it's a stream, and I'm not there in person, but I mean, it sounds incredible. Would you plan on kind of like is this something that you could use instead of the Copper at any given moment, you would say, or is more suited towards like studio work or different live scenarios?
I think like when I could, I would take the actual Copper amp with me.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I would use like you said earlier, if you were flying in to do a gig and there was like a rental amp, yeah, and you had to travel lightly, this would be the perfect thing to bring. And also, yeah, like in any sort of studio situation, it would be really handy to just have it on the floor there. Say if you brought like a Fender style or a Marshall style amp, and you just wanted more of that kind of flavor. It's simple to just have that on the ground. Yeah, I'm definitely going to experiment more with recording direct with it. Because there's a great guitarist in the UK, Mark Blackwell is his name, and I was chatting to him. He's got one of these, and he's been getting some cool sounds just plugging it straight in.
That's awesome. Yeah,
so
I've been going direct in. I've been going direct in for a lot of my, just I'm not recording any, super professional sounding records right now, but, just for even practicing, and playing along to some music off the computer, where I don't want, the full blast of the 50-watt amp, going. I'll do that. So I honestly should probably pick one of these things up and start playing with one. 'Cause that, they sound amazing and the functionality of them are perfect. And I think the other thing that people can really benefit by having this is like, amps are expensive, right? So, it's hard to have, a really nice Fender amp and a Marshall amp and an Orange and, all those different sounds. So it's like, say you're playing a, Fender Deluxe and you want more of, the Copper V4 sound without actually getting another amp. It's like, just get the Copper V4, throw it on your board, boom, now you have 2 amps. Like you said, it almost turns your amp into like a multi-channel amp, which I think is super rad.
It's also like a great because it's a lot cheaper than buying the full head. It's a great kind of gateway into learning about that sort of sound and that world.
Totally.
It's almost like a way of dipping your toe in, and if you really like it, you can go for the amp version.
Yeah, definitely. I
cool.
could see that.
I haven't tried any of the other preamp versions, but I presume they're all sort of as close to the amp this one is. So yeah. Cool little thing. I'm still messing around. I've only got a couple pedals set up here, so I haven't really been putting a lot of pedals through it. But like I've got a distortion pedal here. That'll probably sound.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say. So when you're putting this in your chain, and I'm so bad with signal flow and everything. I have a ton of pedals, and I just go right into the front of the amp, and I call it a day. So you would you're running this now through the effects loop, and then would you run this in the front before your pedals, or would you run it completely separate, like run the pedals to the front of the amp and run just this through the effects loop, or how would you kind of set that up? So
I have it's in the effects loop, but yeah, it's the effects loop, but the guitar is still going through it. I'm not too sure exactly, but I do know that I have it set after my pedals.
Okay.
Anyway,
And you can experiment
so
with
I
it. I
suppose,
mean, there's no one way to do it.
yeah, I suppose all the pedals then must be going through the loop as well with it. Yeah, the pedals are coming before it, so I'm just sort of treating it like an amp in that way. But yeah, here it is with some like distortion on it. Oh, I've got the boost still on. So it sounds like a
Yeah.
as well.
Dude, I mean, that sounds awesome. I mean, just through my headphones through a live stream, how many thousands of miles away, I can only imagine, imagine what it sounds like in the room. But yeah, man, it sounds killer. I really dig it.
Yeah, it's great. I've got the old fuzz face hooked up to it as well, which is just chaotic. Yeah.
Woo. Dude,
have you got a fuzz face?
I don't.
Oh, not a fuzz face. Sorry, it's what am I saying? Fuzz Factory.
Fuzz Factory. Oh, you know what? I had a Fuzz Factory, the ZVEX one, right? That
yeah.
Because I almost was gonna say it kind of sounds like Fuzz Factory because it has that spitty, gated, kind of sound to it, and I love that thing. I mean, I love different fuzz sounds that just make it sound like it's destroying your amp. I don't know why that. Why?
I know, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think it's funny because a lot of people can agree with that, but when you think about it, it's like, why would you want it to sound that way? But my mom would probably be like, your amp's broken. But to me, I'm like, yo, this sounds incredible. But yeah, I love that. And it sounds like it takes pedals super well. Do you have any like reverbs or modulation on there?
Yeah, I've got a bit of reverb coming just before it. Could maybe get a bigger one. What else we got? Some modulation there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some delay maybe. I'm running all that stuff from the HX Effects.
Oh, nice, right on. Yeah. That's a great box. I love that thing. I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, the effects sound great. I think for anyone, whether you're a kind of straight into the amp type of player or if you're a pedal junkie like some of us, safe to say it can do both. No problem.
Yeah.
I love that. The versatility is super important to me personally. Because my tastes change all the time. It's like some days I just want to play, to how the amp sounds, and I just want the amp, or some days I want 7 or 8 pedals on at once and just completely go off into wherever I'd be going. But yeah, man, I think that sounds awesome, and I love the idea of this pedal, just the fact that it's super versatile. You can use it in the studio, you can use it at home or on stage, or it's like this little box that has like all of these powers inside of it. It's like pretty remarkable. But yeah, man.
Incredible.
So but you've been really liking it since you've had it?
The HX?
No, I'm sorry. The
The copper.
the V4 copper. Yeah.
Copper. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I just like. I've never really explored that until I got the amp. I've never really explored the kind of voxy, chimey, top boosty kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's a completely different sound for me, you know. But yeah, like it can be quite. It's quite cool for like the funkier side of things as well.
Yeah.
Um, you know the. Oh, it's a lot of verb. Actually, I kind of just whenever I turn the bass off, I just want it back when I'm in the room by myself. Like I love that sound because like that will just slot into a perfect space in a mix so well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have all this like there's not all this hunky kind of mid range around it, or there's not a whole load of low end getting in the way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the EQ on the whole thing is quite versatile, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But you know, like everything, it's like I feel like I could just put a lot more time into.
Oh, totally.
Getting a lot more out of it.
Definitely. But so what kind of pickups are you running that Strat? That thing sounds incredible too. Just you can definitely hear that Strat sound, you know.
It's got that going on. Yeah, they're Texas specials.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Cheap and cheerful. Yeah, I think they're cheap anyway. Texas specials are kind of just standard, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to pickups, you know, you can get super boutique hand wound, or you know, for more than probably what your guitar maybe costs. But I think the Texas specials, are affordable, definitely. Well, cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with us and spending some time and, you know, going over the V4 copper and kind of showing us how you use it. Was there anything else you wanted to kind of show off here?
Or? Maybe a bit more of the dirty channel.
Oh yeah, let's dive. Yeah, dude, let's get into
the
dirty channel.
Maybe I'll just crank it and see what happens.
Yeah, why not, right?
Maybe crank the lids up as well. Actually, what's kind of cool, sometimes works in your favor, sometimes doesn't. Because I've got the amp after the reverb. The reverb is kind of going in. Is that right? Yeah, the reverb's kind of getting distorted, or I don't know. Something kind of mad's happening, which is a cool sound, you know.
Hey, whatever. I dig it.
Yeah. Hear it there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to remind everyone that maybe didn't catch it at the beginning, but you are bypassing the whole preamp of the Mesa Boogie. This is just the V4 copper.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's just it. There's no pedals on there except for I've just got the big sky with some reverb, just a tiny bit of room reverb.
Yeah. So is the Mesa, was that your before you kind of were, you know, playing some Victory amps, and what was kind of like your go-to amp leading up to when you started playing Victory?
I was playing that a little bit. It was mainly just a Hot Rod DeVille.
Yeah, great amp.
Yeah, just an old Hot Rod DeVille 2 or Hot Rod DeVille 3. Or not a DeVille, a Hot Rod Deluxe.
Deluxe, yeah, another great amp.
Deluxe. Yeah, another great amp. Just like a great classic, you know, standard kind of clean tone.
Exactly. That's what I always would typically go for, is something that just gives me a good clean, you know, and can kind of break up if I need it to. But you know, I'm all about the pedals. You know, maybe some people may argue with me, but I feel like you can get a lot of incredible amp sounds out of pedals, and I feel like this is a testament to that, definitely.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm kind of similar to that. Like, just have a clean platform and let the pedals kind of do the rest of the work. Yeah,
Yep.
got me thinking
But
actually about having that breakup kind of sound now. Maybe just having that as another sort of overdrive pedal on the board, because it kind of
yeah,
does that as well, you know.
definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
and I think the cool thing about a preamp pedal is not only are you able to completely bypass an amp preamp. I was like, how do
yeah,
I say that again?
yeah,
But you can use it as like another overdrive pedal, or
yeah,
like another channel to your amp. It just adds that much more to it. So,
yeah,
if anyone is playing out of their current amp and is like, man, I wish I had that other channel to break up a little bit more, or add a little bit more bass or less bass, or just more EQ options. I think this is like a perfect solution for someone like that, because I know with my amp, with the MiG 50, I've got limited amount of EQ per se. It's pretty
yeah,
much a one trick pony. Um, but you can slap this thing on there and then totally dial in like a whole new tone, which I think is awesome.
yeah. Definitely, like like having a second and third channel is just a cool. It's a nice luxury to have for not a lot of money, really. Like you're adding a lot for something
Yep.
that costs quite
Yeah.
little.
And I know
Um,
there's a lot of people out there that are playing in bands, doing extensive cover sets that are crossing so many different genres, from hard
yeah,
rock to pop to whatever it might be. And it's like sometimes you can't just have 3 or 4 amps on stage with you as much as probably people would want. I would
yeah,
love to have 4 or 5 amps on stage, Joe Bonamassa style or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
but sometimes it's not realistic, and not everyone has the resources to make that happen each gig. So
yeah.
throw this on there. You got 2 other channels. You got the EQ options, the bass cut. I mean, I think it's a great solution for that. Definitely.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, it's a fun one.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah,
I'll let
yeah,
you go to bed now because it's probably what almost 10 o'clock your time. So
yeah. Keeping the neighbors awake. The
yeah,
neighbors are gonna kill me.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
Well,
kept
man, yeah,
forgetting that. Yeah,
it's
they're
a
gonna be
pleasure
like, "Hey, are
talking
you
to you.
done?" Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Likewise. Well,
yeah, not yeah,
I hope to talk soon, and yeah, enjoy yourself with that preamp pedal. And for anyone watching, you can grab this at zZounds. There's a featured link here in the stream. And yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to comment them.
cool.
Alrighty,
Thanks,
cool,
dude.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Alrighty, have a good
nice
one.
one. Chat to you soon. Bye.